So this is my review of the Polk Audio Signa S4. This is an Atmos enabled soundbar. I already did a whole unboxing video where I go into pretty good detail on how to set it up and how to get it working, how I got it working with my television in particular. But in this video, I'm going to go into a little more detail about it. I actually I took some measurements and compared how it performed against my normal TV speakers. Obviously, this room is equipped with an 11-channel surround sound system, which is a 7.2.4. Obviously, that wouldn't be a fair comparison, and I have well over $10,000 of equipment invested in this room, and it's just not a good comparison. So I did not compare it against that system. I compared it against the TV, which is you're basically buying this to get better sound above and beyond what your TV can reproduce by itself. So that's the main purpose. I think that's the main market for this soundbar. It's a pretty slick, normal design. Obviously, the soundbar this is Atmos enabled. It's a 3.1.2 system. In other words, it has the right, left, and center speakers plus two speakers above and a subwoofer, which I have tucked away in the corner over there out of frame. It has some nice little buttons here on top. You can turn it on and off, raise the volume. There's even an input change button and a Bluetooth button there. So I went ahead and connected a bunch of different devices to my television. Like I explained in my unboxing video, you need to route all your devices through the television. This only has one HDMI input, which is used to provide the sound to your television. This soundbar uses both eARC and ARC. So if your TV is compatible with ARC and eARC, the TV will send its audio down to the receiver. If you plug in other devices into the TV, it'll route the sound to the soundbar. So I have my Xbox Series X down here plugged into it. An Android TV and another streaming device which I plugged into it. If you're finding this video helpful, it'd be really great if you can give this video a thumbs up and perhaps consider subscribing, and well, let's keep on going. I listened to a bunch of different demos, Dolby ATMOS demos with this thing. The one thing I noticed, I thought it did a really good job with expanding the soundstage a little higher than it is. So in addition to some really good Dolby Atmos demos, which really give you a lot of overhead effects and surround effects and really give you an immersive experience. I watched scenes from Ford vs. Ferrari and Ghostbusters Afterlife and a little bit of Godzilla vs. Kong from Apple TV. I came out really impressed with this soundbar. It gave me all the volume I needed from this room. Basically, the system I have in here is overkill. Please don't tell my wife, because she's gonna make me get rid of it all. I hardly ever listen to my home theater system. Terribly loud. Obviously, when I have kids, so I really can't crank it up. But when I really want to crank it up, I go into the home theater, shut the door, and there I can at least crank it up a little louder. Still can't go too loud because sound travels throughout the house. It's not a soundproof room. Hopefully one day I can have a home theater room that's a little more soundproof. But yeah, with this soundbar, it gave me all the volume I needed and then some. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you a demo. I actually recorded a scene from Ford vs. Ferrari and I cranked it all the way up. And I was reaching volumes in excess of 90 decibels, which is incredibly loud, especially for a $400 soundbar. I wouldn't recommend running this thing at max volume. I did sense that there was kind of, I wouldn't say distortion or anything. I'm sure this has circuitry to protect it from actually damaging the unit, but it definitely, I felt that once you got to that point, it was just a blob of sound. I couldn't really tell the difference from where I couldn't get the really awesome effects that I was feeling when I was listening to it more normal volumes. It did a really good job at exceeding the width of giving me the sense that the sound was coming way wider apart than the soundbar itself. I felt like the soundbar was 12 feet wide basically. So it's a really open sound stage. I did feel I wouldn't say that the overhead effects really blew me away or anything, but it really did. There were some moments where I could feel a little extra ambience coming from above me, but nothing too crazy. I actually in this room, I have 4 overhead in-ceiling speakers, so I'm used to sound beaming directly down at me. The effect wasn't as pronounced. What really got me was the fact that I did feel somewhat of a bubble or encased in sound. Sound was coming from the sides, giving me the impression that I actually had side surrounds when I don't. Obviously, the system doesn't have side surrounds. So I think it did a really good job in that regard. But to sum it up, when I did my measurements, the TV speakers fell flat at around maybe 110 hertz as far as bass. You'll see in a little more detail when I go over those numbers, but the The sub in here gave me solid bass to about 40 hertz, you know, about 85 dB at 40 hertz. Very solid for a little tiny sub. I mean, I'll show you a shot of how small it is. Again, I have it way in the corner, so to help with acoustics. I explain why I did that in my unboxing video again. So I'm going to briefly go over Esthetics for a second. I do like the nice cloth. This is it has a plastic chassis, which I think is pretty common for soundbars. There's no like wooden material or anything like that, or MDF involved with this. Most soundbars are made of plastic. I mean, they're made for mass market appeal, really. I do think it's an attractive speaker. I like the fact that it's very short and easily fit under my under my television without having to put it on the wall or anything. I think that's a huge plus. You might want to measure your TV height before you commit to buying any soundbar, not even this one, to make sure that it'll go underneath it without any kind of, especially if you use it on a TV cabinet like I do. When you raise the volume, you'll see LEDs light up. I think you get up to 6 LEDs that'll light up here that are white. That indicates the volume level. When you're playing an Atmos track, the LED will glow blue. When you're playing a normal like Dolby track, like Dolby Digital Plus or something, you'll see a green light. You'll see the LED turn green. Those are the two you gotta really worry about. Most stuff is gonna be in Dolby Digital or in Atmos. So green and blue. If you're green, it's normal Dolby. If it's blue, it's Atmos, and you're basically hearing the best quality that this thing can handle. Just to go into a little more detail about how easy it is to connect. The sub operates wirelessly. It just needs to be within like 30 meters of the actual soundbar. That's very far. That's like 100 feet away. You're never gonna have it that far. I have mine about, I don't know, like 8 to 10 feet away from the soundbar. Working great. There's no perceptible like delay or anything that I can sense from my couch. So I didn't notice anything wrong with that. So it just connected everything. It just worked. So when I connected it, I powered on the soundbar, connected the HDMI cable, connected the power cable to the subwoofer, and everything just worked immediately. I even listened to the music, hooked up my iPad via Bluetooth, and I listened to music on it. In order to pair Bluetooth, I'm gonna hit the little Bluetooth button here and hold it down. And then it started blinking faster over there. And on my iPad, you can see there's Signa, Polk Signa S4. So I'm gonna hit join. There, it's already connected. This soundbar has a music and a movie mode. I did A/B testing between them, and I did find that the music mode was a little more crisper at the higher end, which I can confirm in my measurements. I did see that when I took measurements in music mode, it was a bit higher in the treble. Very enjoyable experience as far as music is concerned. I would recommend the music mode, but I think the movie mode did a really good job. I even felt that the movie mode gave me a little more ambience with the music. So if you like that kind of like surroundy effect when it comes to music, then you might enjoy the movie mode more. Well, I just wanted to give you a glimpse of my dedicated home theater room. This is about a 17 by 15 foot room. There's a couple of things you need to take into consideration when you're setting up a soundbar with up-firing speakers. Number one, you need a flat ceiling, which this room does have. This room happens to be acoustically treated. That includes panels on the ceiling there. Up-firing Atmos speakers takes advantage of the fact that sound can bounce off of surfaces. So it shoots sound upward to the ceiling and it bounces down to where you're sitting. Sometimes more effectively than other times. This room actually has downward firing Atmos speakers built into the ceiling. These speakers up here on the top here are also they're called height speakers, which are also used as Atmos speakers. They're not as good as downward firing speakers, but I would put them at a tier higher than upward firing speakers. When I would do some serious movie watching, this is where I go. But the room where the soundbar is set up in, which is a little more appropriate for it, that's basically my secondary room. That's where I play most of my video games. I watch a lot of TV in there, so it's kind of like more of a family room setting. This is more like serious movie watching, and this is kind of like my dojo for movies. If you'd like to get a little more information about this room, I actually filmed I have a whole like long tour video set up about it. I'll put a link of that video in the upper right corner of your screen, and yeah, let's keep going. I took some measurements of the Polk Audio Signa S4. I decided to start with a measurement of my TV speakers, just to give you like a baseline. With TV speakers, obviously they can get pretty loud. This is currently set to 60% or 60 out of 100 on the on-screen menu on my TV, and as you can see at around 110 hertz or so, it starts dropping and dropping and dropping, and then it gets to maybe around 80 dB. Around 80 dB, you're getting about 80 hertz or so, which is not very bassy. So I would consider this very typical for a flat screen TV. Any TV that can exceed this kind of bass is the exception and not the rule. This is the Signa S4 set at 50% volume. On movie mode, obviously the first thing you can notice is there's a lot more bass. It looks like the chart is a bit on the bassy side. It's not what I would consider flat, but again, you can play with the location of your subwoofer to try to, if you feel that you feel the bass is a little boomy, then you can go ahead and like move it away from the wall or move it away from the corner. I put it in the corner because I wanted to maximize the amount of bass given the size of my room and the size of the sub. You can lower the volume of the bass on the remote, so that's also another thing you can do. But anyway, very, very solid bass. You're getting about 96 decibels, about 50 hertz. But then it kind of starts plummeting and plummeting and plummeting until maybe at around 85 dB, which is not nothing. You're at about 39 hertz, or almost about 40 hertz. I would say so. You're getting solid bass till about 40 hertz, which is fine for a $400 soundbar. I also took measurements of let me take away the TV here, and I'm going to compare. This is the music mode. So the blue line is the music mode. The mic is in the same position. As you can see, there's a little more mid-range and a little more at the top end of treble. Bass is pretty much the same. There is a difference. The Polk is doing something in music mode. There is a difference. So if you want a little more of a brighter presentation, then try out music mode. I would definitely use movie mode for like movies, of course, or like television or something. I feel like it did a better job with creating more of an ambiance or surround effect. All right, so this is just the bass response to the S4. You can just see it a little more up close and more detailed. So I'm going to show you what the TV speaker's bass is now. As you can see, it's way different, way less bass. It's just not very bassy at all. It sounds like a TV. So I guess the point is this kicks the TV's butt. In other words, this does a way better job than just the TV alone. Way to go, Polk! You did a really good job. I've now lived with the soundbar for almost 2 weeks. I think Polk did a really good job with its very believable surround sound effect that it provides. Its capability with providing somewhat of a decent Atmos experience. Polk Audio does a really good job with speakers. This is what they do. They specialize. They specialize in manufacture speakers, and they've been doing that for over 50 years. I think Polk knocked it out of the park with this one. I definitely recommend it. If you're looking for a huge upgrade from your TV speakers, you're willing to invest $400 to get that, and you want the ease of setup. I mean, I literally set this thing up in 5 minutes holding a camera, with honestly super easy to set up, no guesswork. It just worked right out of the box. I hope you found this video helpful. If you could give this video a thumbs up, that would be amazing. And if you could subscribe to the channel, that would be really great. It's a really good way to support the channel. And I'll see you in the next one.